Hey, Angie Finnemore here, and this is Phat Chat with my writing coach. So, there's power in declaration. Nothing really happens, like that's the embryo. Nothing really happens until you have that moment when you declare. Um, it's like words are the seeds that become events that become history. So I'm going to tell you a little story about a time when I made a declaration that made a big difference. And I do this all the time, by the way. But this one in particular, excuse me, I was thinking about today. So it was about 15 years ago. I was going through a divorce and I had made a lot of money on the sale of a home. This was just before the bubble burst, right? And then it did burst. And then, so I'm going through this divorce. I'm way far from home. I had moved out of state to Idaho, but my kids were kind of dug in. And, we'd been there about a year or so. And so I knew this was coming, and I had made a big, chunk of money on the sale of a house, but then I had invested it in my soon-to-be ex-husband's business. So I was wiped out. I had $10,000 left, and I had two toddlers at home. So I was trying to figure out, how am I going to support these kids? We were dug in. We wanted to live in the school zone and the church zone. Okay, so the church boundaries ran this way, where I went to church, and the school boundaries ran this way. So it was this little chunk of a few blocks. And inside that area, there was a middle school, a city park, and a farmer's field, plus my ex-husband's neighborhood. We kind of wanted to be in a different neighborhood. So I would put my two little ones in the stroller at night and put in my earbuds, and I'd just listen to music, and I'd walk and think, how am I going to solve this problem? So I also had cats, and they weren't not my cats, my kids' cats, which was important to them. And so I'd walk this neighborhood and just, trying to solve the problem. But I would create while I was walking. And I would just speak to God, the ether, whatever, and just say, here are my requirements. Same school, same church for the kids. And then I'd say, and I'd like a view of the park. I want a view of the park. Okay. And then I added in there, a front porch would be nice, but I didn't make that part of the requirement. So the thing about this neighborhood was that there was a busy street that separated the neighborhood from the park. And I also didn't want to be on the busy street, but all the houses with, views of the park are on the busy street, right? Okay. So it was coming down, time to move. There was nothing. And and by the way, in the middle of all of this mess that I was in, my credit was trashed. So I had found a couple of apartments that didn't fit any of the needs. And we would have to get rid of the cats, three levels up, not the same anything. And I was getting ready to sign the lease agreement. And I was in the car driving somewhere, and I came to the corner, and there was a sign. It had just popped up on the corner. It said, house for rent. So I went and checked it out and met the owner there. He was like 97 years old, and he recited the Gettysburg Address to me while I was viewing this house. Well, here was his criteria. He wanted to be the bank, 10,000 down, which was exactly what I had. And he wanted to be the bank. That meant no credit check. It was inside of these boundaries that were my requirements. But don't forget, I had this, there was no front porch, by the way, because I didn't make that a requirement. But I wanted a view of the park. And there were no houses in this neighborhood with a view of the park because they were all on the busy street, and I didn't want to be on the busy street. Anyway, so we handshake deal. I step outside, and I'm standing on the driveway looking straight out. Well, this house is tucked back, and there's a cul-de-sac that goes one direction and a street that runs through the neighborhood and turns back out and connects to cul-de-sacs on the other. And I'm standing there in the driveway. and I look straight out, and it's the only house in that neighborhood, the only house with a view of the park. So there you go. You declare, that's the seed, that's what starts it all. And then you match your actions, okay? It didn't just pop out of thin air. Like I really caused that. You know, I made that happen. And I also had to take actions that were scary for me at the time. And, you know, I had to really deal with, I had trash credit, and I had to really deal with some things to make that happen. And I did, and we lived there for 3 years, I think, and it was just extraordinary. So there you go. Create with intention, okay? You know, the power of declaration is everything. I mean, look at the Declaration of Independence. It's like we had to first declare independence, right? Before we actually, and we had to take actions that match that. And then it happens. But everything starts with a declaration, right? Okay, so here's your challenge. Be intentional AF. Ciao for now.